Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a long time since I posted on this channel and I'm really sorry about that, but happy holidays. I really hope you enjoy this video. I'm still a hot mess right here, but I thought you guys might enjoy me talking about these two palettes. These two palettes have been on everybody's list this year for the best makeup of the year, and it's understandable that, I mean, the quality of the shadows are unquestionable. I'm talking about the Natasha Denona Gold Palette and the Mothership 5 by Pat McGrath. These two palettes are amazing. Their quality, I don't think I've seen a bad review of either, or very rarely is there a bad review. They are extremely expensive. Well, okay, so here are my notes. Natasha Denona is at $129, which is 7,320 pesos. And Pat McGrath is at $125, selling at 7,000 pesos. Now, in terms of grammage, with the Natasha, you get more with the Natasha Denona. You get 15 colors, whereas the Pat McGrath, you get only 10 colors. And with the Natasha Denona, you get 37.5 grams. With the Pat McGrath, you get 13.2 grams. You get a lot more with the Natasha Denona, but you get a lot more color range with Pat McGrath. You'll see what I'm talking about soon. I just wanted to compare and contrast these two palettes because, you know, you might deserve or want to get either of these two palettes, but because of their really high price point, you might be deciding between the two of them. And I'm here to tell you there are some, I don't know, it might be a trend, but there are some similarities with these two palettes. These four shades, among these four shades, the two shades that you get the big Mothership palette for is because of these two shades. Let me explain. So, you know that the Mothership line comes in minis and it comes in the full size ones. Yeah, sorry, all the fingerprints. The full size ones, sure, the quality is spectacular between the minis and the full size ones. But the full size ones, these ones, the special shades are these. This quadrant. Okay, these are the special shades. This is a metallic red. You'll find metallics in the mini palette. You won't find the duochrome ones. These two are amazing. They color shift. So, well, I should actually say these two shades are the special colors. Okay. You won't find them in your minis. These are why you get the big Mothership palette. So you can use this ones as your toppers and switch up a look. And it's these two, surprisingly, that you'll also find in this Natasha Denona Gold palette. Okay, so you'll see the gold palette, you'll see this shade and this shade. Come on, focus. Well, these two shades are similar to these two shades. Okay, and there are two other shades in this palette that actually match with the ones here. So the first two shades I'll be swatching are this yellowish green duochrome shade, and the first shade is VR Fire Opal from the Pat McGrath palette, and this is Natasha Denona's Lime Chrome. Okay. if you notice, the Pat McGrath is a lot more glittery, but the reflect and the base tone are basically the same. It's like Natasha Denona is the more finely milled version of Pat McGrath. Pat McGrath is glittery and chunky glitter. Okay. The next shade is Astral Luna Gold from the Pat McGrath palette and Sparks from the Natasha Denona palette. And you'll see here again, you have a white base with gold flecks. Gold flecks on the Pat McGrath palette are actually, the gold flecks on the Pat McGrath palette are bigger than the ones in the Natasha Denona palette. Natasha Denona palette is generally easier to wear if you don't want a glittery moment, and you can just pack it on if you want more glitter. Okay. So the third shade is Guilty Pleasure without a U, because you are not there in the Guilty Pleasure, and Varys. So the first one is from the Pat McGrath palette, and the second one is from the Natasha Denona palette. This is a metallic brown, and it's quite close in terms of tone and in terms of effect. I find though that for this one, the Natasha Denona palette is actually easier to use than the Pat McGrath palette. And then the fourth shade is Bronze Blaze from the Pat McGrath palette and Alchemist from the Natasha Denona palette. So for Bronze Blaze and Alchemist, it's if you smooth out both of them. For Bronze Blaze and Alchemist, if you smooth out both of them, you'll get the same look. So those are the swatches, and currently what I've got on my eye is I use the Safari palette as base. And on this eye, this is the Natasha Denona palette, and on this eye, that's the Pat McGrath palette. Okay? And I used the Safari palette as base, but I topped it and accentuated with two different palettes using these four colors that I just mentioned. So obviously these two palettes are two very different palettes. This one is green, this one is red. Duh. You get more colors with this one though, so you get to play, but I feel like you actually get more looks with this palette. Let me weigh the pros and cons for you. Natasha Denona palettes. The great thing about owning the Natasha Denona system is, did you know that these are magnetic palettes? You can actually, this is foam, you can actually stick a needle and switch the palettes out. And switch the colors out, so you can form your own palette when you go travel. It comes in so convenient. So recently when I traveled, what I did was I brought my Safari palette, which is an all matte palette, but when I bring an all matte palette, I prefer having a little bit of shimmer, so I switched out some shades with the Tropic palette, and it worked out beautifully. I'll post it right here. And I love the fact that it's actually quite light for what it is, because it's foam, or the other one is kind of like a pencil case kind of feel. Here it is. This is heavier than this, but I love these palettes just because they have a giant mirror. So you get more color selection, you get to mix it around. If you like certain shades, you get to put it together. If you finish certain shades, you can remove it, like save on space and stuff down the line. That's the great thing about this gold palette. Another thing, disregarding the entire system of Natasha Denona, this gold palette actually has more neutrals for you to play with. So it's more difficult to mess up your makeup look this one line is one look, this is another look, this is another look. You can even take it by quadrants. Okay, the way it's laid out. Okay, this is why I have issues with brands that copy the color scheme and the color layout of other brands, because this has been thought through for your convenience. So let's say you don't want to think of a look. You can take this 4 and make a look for yourself. You can take this 4, make another look. This 4, this 4, this 4, or this 4. And it will work. Okay. It's really difficult to mess up this palette. Now to the Pat McGrath one. So for the Pat McGrath palette, can I just say, even though I compare these two shades to the Natasha Denona palette, these two in the Pat McGrath are way more glittery. Okay, so if you want a more everyday, easy to pull off look, get the Natasha Denona palette. These ones pop, they scream on your eye. Not to say that you can't create a neutral look with this palette. You can. There are 3 matte shades here, and with this Skin Show and this, you can actually create neutral metallic looks for every day. Did I just contradict myself? Because metallic and neutral, well, for me, I wear metallics everywhere, but yeah, you get what I mean. They're browns, they're what do you call it? They're like a light highlight for your brow bone. You can make really beautiful looks with these palettes, and I feel like you can actually make more looks with less shades featured here than in the Natasha Denona palette. Natasha Denona has very similar neutral colors. This one, however, has very different. Even the neutral colors are quite different from each other. So you can come up with more varied looks. The quality of this is so that you can actually build your color to its full intensity, or you can buff it out and make it lighter. That's the beauty of Pat McGrath. That being said, it's also a lot more expensive than the Natasha Denona. It is also really heavy. I never travel with my Pat McGrath. I must say, my Pat McGrath, I have to remember to use them because I store them in the box, and in my head if it's not just on top, I'm not gonna reach for it, and I just have to keep reminding myself that I should use them because they feel so premium, they're so luxe. And this really does feel premium, but I would never, ever, ever travel with this because, well, the concept is a gold bar and it weighs just like a gold bar. So, totally up to you guys. I've given you the pros and cons of each of them. They're 2 great palettes. You guys know this. You've seen all the reviews. Just letting you know, there are 4 shades that actually match up in this palette, and that might be something you want to take into consideration. So I hope this helped in some way, and goodbye guys. I'll see you next time.